Welcome to the Abundance Hack Show, where we are inspiring you to tap into your power to manifest the happiness, success, and fulfillment that you desire. I am your host, Niajae, the Upper Limit Coach. I am here to dismantle your limiting beliefs and remove the blocks so you can confidently live your life's purpose, because life is meant to be abundant. Hey M&Ms, thank you for tuning into the Abundance Hack Show. What are you manifesting in your life today? I am super excited about today's guest. It's Lindsay Carricarte, and she is a Soul Evolution and Embodiment Coach. And I am so excited to dive into what that is and what she does. But before we get started, Lindsay, I want to ask you, what does abundance mean to you?
Powerful question. One of my favorites too. Thank you. So abundance to me is really, and that's something that it really continuously keeps evolving for me, just in the same way I do. And when I first started out in my business, it was about 4 or 5 years ago. And that's when I really had to start to look at my beliefs around money and around work. And so I think, like many people, my journey into abundance started because I wanted more financial abundance. And so in the beginning, it was like, okay, yeah, abundance is all about money. But then as I evolved and I got more grounded into, that real embodiment of, what it means to be on earth as a human, I started to understand that abundance is everything. And it's our true nature. Like, I really believe at home in our hearts, our true frequency is that of love and of abundance, and that it is infinite, like we are. And that's what abundance is rooted in. Yeah.
Yes, I love it. Yes. Oh my goodness. So tell us about you. Who is Lindsay Carricarte?
So like you said, my coaching revolves heavily around soul evolution and soul embodiment. And I do that through a lot of chakra work and spiritual philosophies and principles. But at the core, I'm really just this like sensitive, hungry for knowledge, inquisitive soul that spent the first part of my life being really overwhelmed and confused by what it is to be human. And I was very much that child that felt like my emotions overwhelmed me always. I was always like, oh my God, and I was feeling everybody else's stuff. And I didn't know how to talk about that. I never knew where I fit. I always felt like, okay, I'm not like them. I'm not like them. I'm not like them. And why doesn't everybody know what I'm thinking? And so to fast forward into my adult life, that all manifested as a lot of problems in my 20s. I struggled with cancer, addiction, depression, anxiety, all the struggles that we get caught up in. And for a while, that stuff defined me. And I thought that it was going to define me for the rest of my life. And as I got into my 30s, right after that Saturn return that happens, like right around 28, 30, and I started questioning all my beliefs, I realized that everything I had known in my heart all along, that we are truly these multidimensional beings that come down here to earth for different reasons and different experiences. And I really came to understand that I am really just coded with love and freedom and liberation. And I'm just here to be a mirror for anyone and everybody that wants to see their full potential.
I love it. I love it. So what was the thing that really got you into this work? When did you say, okay, this is my purpose. Like, this is how I want to serve?
So it was something that I bumped up again a few times in my 20s. Every time I would come out of one of my runs in the dark with my addiction and my anxiety and my struggles, I would come out of it and I'd be like, okay, I would have all these like high hopes and ideas of I'm here to help people. I know I'm here to help people. However, I still didn't have the tools at all to even get my own life in order to be able to do that. So I had to go around the block a few more times. And then right after I was like 34, I burned my life to the ground again. And when I came out of that, it was crazy because it was like overnight, I had this like paradigm shift in my mind where I suddenly started to understand that like I had no idea how to live and that I needed support from something outside of me. And it was at that moment that like, books and teachers and different ways of thinking and viewing the world started to find me. And so that's when I first had my first like run with manifestation, when I would be like thinking of something and it would happen, or I would think, little stuff. I would think of a song and it would happen. I would bring in small amounts of money that were large to me at the time. And I'd be like, oh my God, this is crazy. I really do have power. And I realized then that I wanted to help people understand that. And so that was about 6 years ago. And the funny part is in realizing that I really wanted to be able to teach people that level of power and freedom, there was a whole nother journey I had to take to totally understand the ins and outs of our energy and our vibration and our manifestation. And so that journey of, building my business and learning all of the pieces where I was blocking myself with my own beliefs and understanding the real role of our frequency and vibration, it was like the craziest roller coaster I've ever been on. But it was through all that every time I came back out of it, I was like, no, this is what I'm here to teach. Every time I got a new understanding, I was like, this is what I'm here to give the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I do believe when the student is ready, the teacher appears.
Totally.
So when you're ready for that next level of your life and that next, like peeling that next layer back, the universe will provide the resources.
I love that you said that, because I'm all about the layers. There's like, there's always another layer.
Yep.
Always, I thought I healed that. And then it comes back in a new way. Like,
exactly. Okay. So if someone is in the beginning stages of manifestation, what are some things you can tell them to help them with that process?
so juicy. Such a good question. That's something like I wish I had at the beginning. But I'm so happy that through my experience, I can now offer answers to that. And first of all, number one, hands down, bottom line, is getting that energy, frequency, vibration, whatever you want to call it, right? Whatever word feels good for whomever is fine. To me, it's all interchangeable. But really grounding in and doing the energy work around whatever it is you're trying to manifest or call in. Because when we are taking the actions, which of course in our society, we are so programmed, you have to act, you have to be acting, or, you're not worthy, or if you're not working hard enough, you're not worthy of getting the money, or whatever it is. So we get caught up in that a lot of times in the early phases of trying to manifest, and we can get caught up. Well, I'm doing it. And this was me, first year of my business. I was doing it and I was doing it and I was doing everything they told me to do. But nobody had yet taught me, or I hadn't yet come to the realization that my energy was still out of alignment. Mm-hmm. So I was taking action, but I was taking action from, I'm still afraid to be seen, and lack and scarcity, and I'm not worthy. Mm-hmm. So it was like the universe is circle around above my house, like trying to, drop little Hunger Games parachutes to me. And I'm like deflecting them with my energy because I just didn't know. And so definitely first would be, finding someone, whether it's a teacher, a coach, a mentor, a guide, a healer, someone who can hold up the mirror for you. And not that anybody else has the answers per se that we can't find within ourselves, but a good coach or mentor or healer or guide can help us dig them out so much faster. Mm-hmm. And also hold up the mirror for when we're buying into our own delusion and BS, because we can really do that too.
Yeah.
So definitely like setting aside the, like doing the energy work, doing the frequency work, finding that person to be a mirror. And piece number 3 would be the trust and surrender. Because even when we think, I'm ready, where is it? Maybe we're not. And maybe there's a reason why we're not yet. And when we start buying into, that's where we get all pissed off and righteous and impatient, right? Like, I'm doing it. Where's mine? Where is it? And we just keep blocking.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. And that goes back to the layers, peeling back more layers.
Totally.
Yeah.
Because we're just not taught trust, right? We're not taught like, hey, you can sit back and and I'm not saying there's no action. Of course there's action, but we get taught, right? Like you can't just sit back and receive. Like most of the people that are like, most of us come from families and dynamics where there was a lot of work that had to be done for us to get by. And that's very ingrained in us. So really peeling back that idea that like we have to hustle all the time. Yeah. And because when we start sitting into the trust, it can be really uncomfortable because all of our feelings of, well, oh, now I'm not contributing or I'm not working hard enough come up. So being willing to sit with all that too.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've been working on. Less hustle, more aligning.
Yes.
So yeah, so I want to dive into some chakra talk. So one of the posts that really captured my attention, you were breaking down the different chakras, and if you're this way, you know, like this chakra may be overactive or underactive. So I love how you break down chakras. So do you want to do a quick, I've done an episode on like chakra 101, just like introducing people to like what it is. So like the next level of getting a little more like juicy into the chakras.
Oh, I love that. And I'm going to have to go find that episode too and listen to it just because now I'm curious. That's awesome. Yeah, I love the chakras because they were one of the things that really came to me when I first started waking up and helped me to understand, wow, I have all of these centers that are literally holding programming. And like when we talk about chakras, the word chakra, Sanskrit, you know, with Sanskrit, I mean, I'm sure you know, right? It's like loosely translated all the time. Like every Sanskrit word has, well, could mean this, it could mean this, and it could mean this. And so one of the translations of chakra is disc. I like that because to me, as an 80s kid born in 79, not to date myself and my age, but I grew up in the realm of technology with discs, right? Like we had to use discs to get information between computers. And so I love the idea of them as discs because I really see them as these portals, if you will, that hold not just our like divinity blueprints, like not just the blueprints of who we are at like a galactic and soul level, but also the blueprints of our life experiences and our ancestors and who we got taught to be in the world, right? Because every single one of us was born, came through the veil, forgot where we came from. And that's all part of it, right? We wanted to have that experience. Then we start living in whatever our dynamic is, and we start having all of these experiences from our family. So for example, I'll start like the root chakra. You know, it's really the first one, like our root chakra comes online when we're still in the womb. So if our mother, our father, right, we're this being that comes from two people, and if they're in energy or emotions or thought waves of stress and anxiety or worry, or how am I going to provide for this child, or am I going to be a fit parent, you know, all the things that mothers especially get caught up in when they're carrying their babies, that's all dropping right into our root chakra energetically before we're even, you know, fully kicking arms and legs and all. And when you start to think about that, it's, you know, so yes, we have the higher templates, like I was talking about, our true nature being health and abundance and freedom, but then it gets overwritten by these life experiences. So then coming back up, like starting at the root, that's going to be all about our right to be here in the world. And oh my God, one of the biggest things I see with so many of the people that I teach, even the people that come to my yoga classes, one of their biggest things they tell me is, I'm so afraid to take up space. And I think as women, we get an extra layer of that, right? Because we're taught to just, you know, go over there. And I mean, I know it's 2020 and a lot of this is changing, but a lot of it's still in our DNA too, right?
Yeah.
And so, and you can even notice it. And I always encourage it. Like I always encourage people, like, do you ever notice that, like when you're walking and someone bumps into you, it's like you say, I'm sorry when they bumped into you. It's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm here. To me, that's like a trigger of that root chakra dynamic of being afraid, like not claiming our right to be here. And so that's when we pull ourselves in energetically. And anytime we're pulling in energetically, we're not allowing those true nature pieces of abundance and freedom and health to flow into us. So that root chakra is really all about, to me, the physical and the right to be here and abundance and support and trust. And the sacral really then starts to move into our fluidity and our creativity and our pleasure and our sensuality. all of the beautiful things that we came here to play with and do, that we very quickly got taught, that's wrong, that's bad, that's shameful, don't do that, right? Like all of the guilty pleasure. Why does it have to be a guilty pleasure? You know, because there's so much of that going. And then, so we have all of that. It's literally our sacral chakra, to me, feels like so conflicted because there's all this divine coding around enjoying being in physicality and the pleasures of being in physicality, overlaid with that's wrong, bad, and shameful. And so as we can start to work with that sacral, we can also start to invite in the flow of give and receive, masculine and feminine. And then we move up to the solar plexus chakra, and that's another one that just so many people live from, because it's the power center, right? So when we're feeling unsafe or feeling like we don't have a right to be here, that solar plexus can really go into like the overdrive, because that's never going to protect us. And that's where we see, you know, the extremes of, in the solar plexus, people either retreating further within, you know, having no boundaries, letting people walk all over them, being so afraid to be who they are, or to the other extreme, the people who just are like dominant and arrogant, and I'm going to just freaking bulldoze the world because that's the, you know.
So would you say that's the chakra that kind of holds the ego?
No, totally. Yes.
Okay.
That's like our ego identity full force.
Mm.
And it's like what we project out to the world to feel safe. And it also has to do with like our right to act. So the solar plexus will get very encoded with whatever we received as a message of this is what you need to do to be worthy of receiving. That's going to come out in our solar plexus. So like if we saw, okay, to get something that I need from my parents, I have to be a really good girl and do all the chores, and then I get what I want. Okay, now I'm encoded that I have to be a people pleaser, and I have to do in order to receive. And that just keeps playing out all through our lives. And then we move up to the heart, where is really, of course, like love, right? That's our center of love, but that love has to start within us. And I really believe the heart is just the seat of our divinity. It's like when we go into the heart chakra and start tapping into the infinite nature of what we are. I still remember the first time I tapped into it. Like it was so beautiful, because I was like, oh my God. I was literally sitting on my bed, and I was like, this is what I have been searching for from everyone else in my entire life. And it's sitting in here. And it was in that moment that I stopped needing people to validate me or approve of me. And I'm not saying, of course, we all love to get a compliment or get validated. There's nothing wrong with that. But when we need it to feel worthy of love, it becomes distorted.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that was like one of the really beautiful shifts, because from when I look back to myself as a child, I also saw myself as I was so heart-centered. Like, oh my God, I was just this overly loving. And that's why it felt like I was getting stomped on left and right, because the world wasn't yet, ready for that. So I shut it down. And when I came back to that in that moment, I was like, yes. And all of a sudden I stopped being afraid to show people that love. Because up until that point, I had like a friggin' mega bars and concrete walls. And it was like, stay away, back it up. Don't get too close. And so that really opened that up for me. And that I know for a fact, we all have that, and we can all get in touch with that. And it's beautiful.
Why do we hold ourselves back? Why do we tone ourselves down for the comfort of others? It is time to be you, all of you. It is time to be decadent and become the fully expressed version of yourself. The world will never know your greatness if you tiptoe through life to avoid making someone feel insecure or inferior because your light shines bright. Go to niajae.com/decadent to download the 6 steps to a decadent you, to embrace your fullest expression and be unapologetic about it.
And then our throat, of course, is our center of communication and expression. And the throat's another one that just, our right to express. It not only has it been distorted through our physical lifetimes, like the lifetimes that we've lived here now as these humans, but through generations of our ancestors and you know, if you believe in past lives or parallel lives and all that, like the throat chakra of humanity has been so oppressed. And that's again, one of the biggest struggles in the areas where I work with people, is that people finding their voice. And I used to have panic attacks when I was a kid, which it's so funny that now I'm so public and I talk and I speak and I'm on video and I'll get on stage and it's all good. I get a little nervous, but like all good. Because when I think back to myself as a kid, I was like, if someone had swooped in and told me, I remember when I was starting third grade, new school, and I was having a panic attack. It was like my first panic attack that I remember. If someone had told me that I was going to be doing what I do, I would have been like, no way, no way. Because I was so afraid of expressing and being seen. And that all like resides in the throat chakra. So it's like the throat and the sacral really, really both are for creativity, but what we bring up from the sacral where we give it to the world through our throat. And I love that. And that's why I encourage people to like sing, make sounds, make noise, even if it's gibberish. Because there's like a release that happens. And I like you with sound healing, right? Like, so you know the power of sound and resonance, so powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And beautiful. Like it's such a gift that we have all the sounds to work with.
Yes.
And then as we move up into the third eye and the crown, that's where we get into the realm of the mental. And, you know, our third eye and our gut both use our intuition. And I really believe that so much of like, so third eye is really like, to me, right to know. And then the crown is like the right to understand. So when they're not working together, we might know a lot, but do we understand it? And it's like, it's where the higher truths really get to drop in. And when we're imbalanced or there's a big old block in that throat, that stuff that's up here can't come down and get integrated into our heart and our solar plexus. So it becomes that energy that's just, you know, frazzled and all over the place and overthinking. And yeah, I really believe that.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So what would you say to someone who is wondering, how does the chakras apply to manifestation?
Oh, yes. Yes. That's another juicy thing that I've been digging into and really trying to, you know, find the language to give it to the people who are beginners. Because to me, so our ability to manifest is inherent. Yes, it is. However, that ability to manifest that's inherent, that's linked to those divinity templates I was talking about. Each chakra has that divine blueprint of health, well-being, support, you know, abundance. But that distortion programming that gets overlaid over that divinity, that's where we actually start manifesting from. So like, for example, the root chakra, if the distortion programming in the root chakra is all about, I'm not supported, I have no right to take up space, lack and scarcity, it doesn't matter how many, affirmations we do, they're not gonna break through that energetic programming. Like we got to get in there, clear out the energy, sometimes clear it out of the physical, the mental, the emotional, because there's layers. And so those chakras are always projecting out the bits of our identity. And if, quickly as an example, so if at the solar plexus, I have this identity of lack, scarcity, I'm not supported. And at the sacral, I have this identity of it's not safe for me to be creative and I can't have pleasure, life can't feel good. And then the solar plexus has this identity of I have to force my way through life. That's what I'm manifesting from. And so no matter how much mindset work I do, my energy is still pulsing out with lack and I'm not worthy and it can't feel good. And so we have to get in there and do all the layers of it. And that's something that I really, really, it's so like dear to my heart to get out to the world, because there are a lot of manifestation teachers who are teaching on a more surface level. And I understand that that stuff does work for some people because we're all different. And some people don't have as much stuff to reroute or clear or, shed or get rid of. But those of us that do, we sometimes engage with those teachers or teachings, and then we're left feeling really confused about why they didn't work for us. And so it's not that there's anything wrong. It's just that some of us have to go in deeper. And I really believe that that deeper layer is what's in our chakras.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so powerful too. And I know that in the beginning, people will start to manifest and then like something will go wrong and then they resort back to their old ways. That's because you have to go a little deeper and clean out a little bit more, because a lot of times if something goes wrong, what it does, our brain will validate what our core belief is. So it's really going in deep to get to that core belief.
I love that. I love that you said that, because that's like the perfect yes. Yes.
I love it. I love it. So I can talk to you forever about chakras.
Me too. I talk for days, and I love when I get to talk to like-minded people. It's like my favorite part of what I do.
Yeah. So if you had to give 3 top tips for living an abundant life, what would those 3 top tips be?
First would be get in touch with your energy, for sure. Get in touch with your energy, your frequency, your vibration, and understand the role of energy and vibration in all of it. 2 would be go in and look at your beliefs and unpack the ones that don't serve, because we all have them. Mm-hmm. Right? So don't be afraid to question your beliefs and question why you believe what you do, because most of it is just because that's what we were told. And just because that's what we were told doesn't mean it's true. And that give yourself permission to expand and step into your power, regardless of how scary or uncomfortable it gets. And just understand that in that process, we all go through the pieces of, is it going to be okay? Are people going to judge me? Like, so who am I to do this? Who am I to receive this? And be open and willing.
I love it. I love it. So where can people find you online?
Awesome. I'm mostly on Facebook and Instagram, although I have recently got into TikTok, which I'm having a lot of fun with, because people are really, I'm doing little like sound clips and like dances for the chakras on there, and people are digging it.
Oh, I have to follow you.
So I didn't think I would like it, but I love it. So I'm on there. And I do some Facebook Lives. I'm currently rebuilding my website. But I do right now have a link of a whole bunch of resources, which I sent you. And that's through my link tree, has a bunch of soul evolution resources that people can check out. And also, please, anybody can feel free to, message me on Facebook or Instagram. Like, I'm very available and I love to hear from people.
Awesome. So really quick, before we wrap up, what is the biggest problem that you serve with your clients? So like if someone's experiencing this is like your wheelhouse.
Yeah, it would be the frustration for the people who feel like they understand manifestation and the law of attraction, and they've really done like the mindset work around it, but it's like, it still ain't coming. Like they really believe they're there, but for whatever reason, there's still frustration. And because I'm a human design projector, so I have this gift of being able to penetrate right to the core of the problem. And so I'm the one that can help people to see exactly, okay, where's the sabotage? Like, where is the faulty coding? And then what do we need to do to address it? Because I do work on physical, mental, emotional, and energetic. So we identify where the mismatch is and we get that all in alignment.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Me too. It excites me.
So I will have all of your social media handles and website in the show notes. Thank you so much for coming. This was absolutely amazing.
Thank you for having me. I was so excited when you invited me.
Yay. And I feel like we can definitely do like a follow-up and get like more deep into some of these topics, but this was like a good amount to just introduce you to my audience. And I love everything that you've said. Like we're right on the same page. So thank you again for coming. And until next time, M&M's, love and light.
Love it. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Abundance Hack Show. I would love to hear from you. Leave your comments and questions, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our yummy episodes. Every time you leave a 5-star rating or review, I do my happy dance.